Welcome to Ask NeuroWork, the podcast where we answer the tough questions on neurodiversity in the workplace. Today, I'm here with the CEO of Unified 360, Kate Hardiman, to answer the question, which is a very, very, very important question, I suppose, in terms of what many corporates have asked us about. And that question that we're going to tackle in today's podcast is, how do we embed a different, not broken message in workplaces? So to kick us off in terms of how we start answering that very big question, Kate, what do you say? Where should we start?
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. I think it's first off, we need to break down what we mean by, in inverted commas, different, not broken. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you think it is. But to me, it's all about seeing people's brains, the difference in people's brains is something great and unique, not something wrong that needs to be fixed. That deficit model that we hear talked about all the time, that it's okay to think and learn differently because of conditions like autism and ADHD and dyslexia. So it's a simple but powerful reminder that just because someone might think or might learn or interact differently, that it doesn't mean that they're lacking. It means they're unique. And in the corporate world, uniqueness isn't just nice to have, it's essential because it fuels innovation and creativity and problem solving. So organizations embedding this message of different, not broken into their workplaces isn't just the right thing to do. I think it's really the smart thing to do. So it's all about celebrating everyone's brain. Just like we celebrate cultural diversity and biodiversity, let's celebrate neurodiversity. So the problem with, I guess, a lot of neurodivergent people is that the world we live in was created for neurotypical brains. So neurotypical brains are brains that, that science tells us are standard or average in terms of when compared to people in their culture of their age. So just think of things like traditional recruitment processes and open plan offices. They've been developed for neurotypical brains. And neither of those things work really well for NDers. And as a result, neurodivergent people have to put up with, I guess it's extra work because they're constantly having to translate their thoughts and their ideas and their experiences from one frame of reference to another. And that's exhausting. And it often leads to burnout for NDers, but that's a whole other podcast episode, I think. So what it comes down to is that by embracing this idea of different, not broken, workplaces can be more welcoming and get the best out of everyone. And it's not just good for people who think differently, it's great for the whole company because it brings in new ideas and more creativity. And at the end of the day, a happier team across the board.
Well, absolutely. I think you're spot on with so many of those points. I think coming to your question about what is different, not broken, I think I agree. It comes back down to why neurodiversity was invented as a concept in the first place. So with Judy Singer, an Australian sociologist who coined the term neurodiversity back in 1999, or around the 1990s at least, it is around the diversity of minds that we have, just like we have biodiversity in wildlife, we have a diversity of brains from people with autism, ADHD, dyslexia, and some argue as well in schizophrenia, OCD, and many of these other conditions as well. The neurodiversity spectrum can be quite broad. And I suppose we have particular strengths that we bring to the workplace. Like I can get really hyper-focused on an area of interest and can deliver really great work for a particular boss who'll be really pleased about the output that I put out compared to other people. And that's something to be celebrated, and not shamed just because maybe the flip side of that hyper-focus is maybe I get a little bit fidgety at the desk and I don't get up. I get up and I fidget a lot and I don't really sit still like maybe I should say like other neurotypical employees do, I suppose. So really, how do I kind of embed that in a corporate setting I suppose for me, from my experience working in different organizations, it's kind of appealing to the universal design principles of if you kind of create accommodations for our brains and celebrate these unique brains, then it benefits everyone. It's not just serving a small minority of people. It actually is a good thing for the whole company to celebrate these different brains. I think that's really what it comes down to, just tapping into that universal message. So it doesn't feel like neurodiversity is excluding. I always kind of call it the most inclusive diversity movement in a sense, because we all have different brains and different types of minds. We can't all be all genders or all, we can be different ethnicities and that sort of thing. But I just think with neurodiversity, it's just easier to conceptualize in terms of different minds and how that can be integrated in the workplace. Did you have anything else to add, Kate, to the points or other further points you wanted to make?
Yeah, I just had an idea in terms of people might want to know what organizations can do to get on board with this different, not broken idea. So there are a few fairly straightforward steps organizations can take to get on board with it. I would start with building awareness and education. So it's hard to appreciate what we don't understand, right? So organizations can host workshops and talks and training sessions that shed light on what neurodiversity is and what it looks like. So I'm not talking about, having a death by PowerPoint thing, but engaging and relatable content that sort of opens the eyes and the minds of people in the organization to neurodiversity. So think TED Talk meets your favorite podcast type energy. So the goal is to help people get past their stereotypes and see the person and not the label. I also think organizations can do work around their inclusive hiring practices. So when companies hire people, they should be making sure that the process doesn't leave anyone out. And that could mean cleaning up how interviews are done or what's asked in job ads so that everyone feels like they can apply. So maybe ditching the one size fits all approach. For example, someone might not shine in a traditional interview, but give them a task-based assessment and they'll potentially knock it out of the park. So it's about finding the right approach for each person and remembering that the goal isn't just to get diverse candidates in the door, it's to give them a reason to stay. And I think making work comfortable for everyone is important. So imagine walking into an office that just gets you. They just understand you. Got quiet zones for people who need them. They've got flexible schedules so that NDers can skip the overwhelm of peak hour, which is exhausting to people who are neurodivergent. This workplace has technology that helps them work more efficiently. So it's not about special treatment, it's about equal opportunity to thrive. And sure, it might mean doing things differently, but the best things in life often come from stepping outside our comfort zone, right? So small changes in the office can make a big difference, and it's all about making sure everyone can do their best work. We've talked about support and adjustments and accommodations. Companies can make it easy for people to ask for what they need to work well without feeling weird about it. And it might be special software or a different desk setup. And it shouldn't be a big deal to make those sorts of things happen. And lastly, I just thought I'd make the point about leadership because leadership plays a crucial role. As we know, change often starts from the top. And when leaders embrace the different, not broken idea, it sends a really powerful message. It's not just about what we say, it's about what we do. So leaders can champion that by sharing their own stories and listening to others and making inclusion just a really central part of their agenda. And we know that leaders who show vulnerability and openness as leaders are the ones that inspire others. So the big boss, the senior leadership team, and the team leaders need to show they're all in on this idea of different, not broken. So I can talk about neurodiversity media, neurodiversity media, that's the organization, neurodiversity, showing they care and making sure that the company really lives up to the different not broken message. So there's some tips I would recommend for corporate cultures.
Fantastic. That's it for this episode of Ask NeuroWork. I hope you've got some insights from it. Tune in for the next episode as it comes. Thank you. Thanks, Kate.
Thanks, Rach.